Well, good morning, and thank you very much for having me. I'd like to thank, firstly, the previous speakers for setting the bar so high, putting the pressure on. Thanks for that, guys. And most of all, I'd like to thank Peter and David and the rest of the LDP for giving us the opportunity to be here and have a bit of a chat today, and the opportunity to be involved in the Outdoor Recreation Party. It may or may not be obvious, but I'm not a politician. I'm not even close to a politician. And to be honest, I don't really want to be a politician. What I am is a very, very passionate four-wheel driver, fisher and lover of the great outdoors. And that's why when the opportunity presented itself to be a part of the Outdoor Recreation Party in the 2013 campaign, I jumped at it. And I'm very, very proud to have played a very, very tiny part in getting David to the position that he's in now. And congratulations to you, mate. Well done. Okay, so why? Why did I want to get involved with the Outdoor Recreation Party? Well, the big thing for me as a four-wheel driver and a fisherman is access to what is essentially our birthright, and that's Australia. Places like national parks, state forests, beaches and marine environments, over the last decade, access to those areas has been restricted dramatically. If you looked at a graph, it'd be off the chart. It's just insane, the amount of places you can no longer access for no real reason other than there's just no common sense management from the people that are involved. And that's what we want to raise awareness, and we want to fight that. That's a big part of what the Outdoor Recreation Party is all about. And it's refreshing to have backing of someone like the LDP that is truly libertarian and wants to help us out in that way. A lot of the times the restrictions to these areas have been done without the right consultation, and certainly without consultation to the right people. A really good example of that currently is the fight that's happening up at Stockton Beach. I don't know how many people are familiar with the area at Stockton, but it's a massive expanse of sand dunes that a lot of different people, not just four-wheel drivers, go to enjoy. So you've got people that ride horses, people on bikes, quads, hikers, fishermen, bird watchers, and they're all being restricted. At the moment, you can't go and camp on Stockton Beach anymore. You know, we've done it for the last 100 years. In the last 2 years, they've said, no, we can't do that anymore. And they've not really consulted anybody with that, with the exception of perhaps a couple of four-wheel drive clubs that don't really represent everyone that has an interest in the area. So that's something that we've been working on behind the scenes, not just with the Outdoor Recreation Party, but I'll get into that in a little minute. So what do we want? What does the Outdoor Recreation Party want? They want a common sense approach to management of all these areas, whether it's beaches, marine parks or the bush, and that's really what we're chasing. This year, or last year actually, when we ran for the election in Queensland, I had a counterpart there, John Ruth. Some of you may or may not have heard of Ruthie, and he made a lot of noise as well. In fact, he's so passionate about the whole process that he started his own not-for-profit organisation called Unlock Australia, which is dedicated entirely to not only making sure that places don't get locked up anymore, but also reversing what's happened over the last decade or so and creating more and more access to those areas. I'd like to invite David Luke up to have a bit of a chat about that as well. He's one of the directors from Unlock Australia. It's a pretty big deal. So David, he'll tell us all about that.
Hey guys, how are we going? Thanks, Rick. First, I'd like to pass on an apology from John Ruth, who couldn't be here because he's got work commitments in Tasmania, if that's what you can call them. He's driving bush tracks in Tasmania, lucky guy. So he sent me instead. My name's Dave. I'm one of the directors of Unlock Australia. Unlock Australia began in concept late in 2012 and was formalised into a registered not-for-profit in September last year. Unlock Australia's aim is to open up public lands and waterways for outdoor recreation. Across Australia, there's an increasingly concerning trend of public spaces being locked up and mismanaged in the name of conservation. This extreme green trend will and already has started to affect national tourism and do damage to a large amount of small and medium businesses built around the desire to explore our country that so many Australians share. The impact on tourism and small business will only increase if we allow this to continue. Originally, the Green Movement raised some very important issues that are important to all bush lovers. However, in the last 15 years, have seen this movement become increasingly academic and elitist and out of touch with practical land management. The results, apart from less access to public lands than ever in the history of this country, have been almost catastrophic. It's ridiculous in a country as huge as Australia with such a small population to gate people out of bushlands. Unlock Australia is dedicated to reversing this trend, to suggest and promote better ways of managing public lands and to involve all bush lovers in the care and maintenance of our country. To do this, Unlock Australia raises money to spend on raising awareness of this, holding rallies and protests across the nation. Unlock Australia exists to bring all lovers of our outdoors together as a united front for the current mindset of exclusion. We'll do this by encouraging national parks and state forests and the Department of Primary Industries to open up our lands to recreational users. We'll also promote and encourage love and respect for our shared national resource and educate people in sustainable bush use. Since our conception last year, we've seen a huge amount of support across all sectors, and at our last count across our membership, social media and databases, there is in excess of 200,000 people we have contact with regularly.
5 minutes.
Thank you.
4 minutes.
4 minutes. And it's an active audience who are willing to put their hard-earned on the line to support the cause. For example, you may have seen on the news, we held a rally last year in Stockton. We had a convoy 48 kilometres long, with the police lost count at 5,000 forward drives that turned up on a rainy day. Basically, we've got another one of those coming up in just 2 weeks. We're holding another meeting, which is expected to draw an even larger crowd. It's protesting the draft management plan that's been put together. The noise of this protest, apart from having multiple calls from police and everyone involved, has already got us a seat at the table with National Parks and the Warramah Land Council this week. Where ULA shares many similarities with the ORP and LDP in opposing any restrictions to public land and our liberty as Aussie bush lovers. The main difference with Unlock Australia is we call it undenominational. So we're not aligned to any particular political party or organisation, as we need to rally support from anyone who shares the common goals. It's very much the same commercially with the outdoor recreation industry. We take support from all but are not financially aligned with any one commercial entity. We're hugely grateful for the support of the ORP and LDP and are more than willing to throw our support and the support of our 200,000 plus followers behind any stance that increases access to our country and reduces the ludicrous amount of restrictions placed on the everyday Aussie who just wants to escape with their family and pitch a tent, roll out a swag or wet a line before heading back to the tax-paying grind called work. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, David. So I hope you can understand why it's important for us as the Outdoor Recreation Party to be involved with somebody like David and Unlock Australia. They bring a lot to the table, there's a lot of numbers there. I want to see a show of hands. Who's got kids, grandkids, nieces, nephews? Anyone under the age of 15? Just about all of us? Yep. Who's appalled by how much time they spend on computers and computer games and not outside climbing trees and swimming in rivers? Yeah, most of us. I'm the same. Imagine in a generation's time if things continue the way they have been with restrictions and bad management and just locking up places for the sake of it, how much worse that generation is going to be compared to what we're looking at right now. The mind boggles.